Hey guys, we're going to talk about qualitative and quantitative, or you can flip those because I wrote them flipped here. Networking. Networking comes up a lot in conversation with actors, with media artists, and production and this whole industry, and most people are being really stupid about it. So I thought maybe I'd throw something out there to stop people from making themselves look like absolute idiots. So one of the biggest issues is that when people think of networking, and there's all these gurus out there that tell you how to network, and honestly, some of their advice is so ridiculous, and some of it's good. Like I don't want to poo-poo on everybody, but like people overthink this. They're like, oh, networking, it's all about your network. And, I know Steven Spielberg's second assistant, and Leo DiCaprio was at a dinner one time, and I saw him, and I gave him my business card for my plumbing business, and then, whatever, dude. Who gives a shit? Here's the thing. People think about networking all wrong. They think about quantitative, meaning like they just need to be networking all the time. And you got to go here because it's good networking, and you got to go to this gala because it's good networking, and they go to all these event and red carpet things and after parties and rap parties and award parties, and they go to Billy Crystal's house and they see Al Pacino there, and talk about that shit for the next 10 years. Like that freaking makes a difference. So then there's qualitative networking, which is really what the fewest of people do, but is really how networking works in the reality of things. So like in an effective way. So let's first break it down into kind of the problem. Problem is that people think about networking all wrong, right? There's like a bad way to do it, which falls under this quantitative mindset where it's just like you constantly have to be networking like some real estate agent who like gives children their business card because one day they'll grow up and maybe need to buy a house. Smart thinking ahead there. And then there's qualitative, who where people who are busy, and that's the good way of doing it. Actually, people who respect their own time, respect their own like place in the socioeconomic structure of things in society and in the industry, and therefore also respect other people's time and kind of find meaningful relationships. And I don't mean like everybody you network with needs to be like your grandmother's, like they don't need to have that deep of a relationship with you. But let me get into that in a second here. I'm getting a bit off topic. Essentially, let me see. I wrote notes down, so I'm looking at those. So a lot of people want to, like I see this at rap parties a lot, actors, they come up to me, or I hear them talking to other people about, projects they've been on, trips they've taken, cool things they've done, and it's all like the subtext is always, woo. Look, basically what I could do, I could hear any conversation on a set, and all I hear is, whoa, 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 I'm an actor, please hire me. Whoa, 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 I'm an actor, I'm a really cool actor, please hire me. Whoa, 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 whoa. If you ever need an actor, I'm an actor, can you please hire me? Whoa, 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 whoa. That's all I hear. And then the other person's going like, oh, cool, yeah. Oh, did you? Oh, nice. All right, well, great. And then they walk away, and the actor goes, oh, that was so cool. Totally impressed that person with all the stuff that I've done. That person walked away and is never going to think of you again. Now, people, here's the thing. Most people can't help you. Understand this. Steven Spielberg cannot help you 99% of the time. So it doesn't matter if you know Steven Spielberg. It doesn't matter if you know George Clooney. It doesn't matter if you know Billy Zane. They can't help you most of the time. They also don't want to help you most of the time because everybody gets into Hollywood their own way. Everybody has this weird backstory of kind of how they came into their success. So if you know a famous actor who you went to high school with. I had this conversation on the phone recently with somebody who was a semi-working actor, but then it was like, well, I actually know X and XYZ comedian, a fairly known name. And I asked that person, like, can you help me? And they just said no. And like they were offended by that. But the reality is, what you just did is you didn't think it through at all. And that's what I'm getting at. Quantitative versus qualitative networking. That was quantitative networking. It's kind of a numbers game. Like you try to know as many people as you can, and then you randomly throw out like, oh, hey, can you help me? Oh, can you help me? Hey, do you have something for me? Do you have something for me? Hey, that guy over there, can you ask him if he's got something for me? Can you ask her if she's got something for me? And what does that all boil down to? It all boils down to a self-serving place, right? So this side has put themselves in a self-serving category. And every conversation that they carry with people, it always has to do with them. Because they think that networking is going around trying to impress a bunch of people who don't care about any of that. Qualitative networkers understand what they're going for, like who they are, what they do, how they do it, or want to be doing it, and they know their place and value. And they know how to offer it. That might seem a bit abstract, but let's paint a picture here. So, you need a few things first. You need to approach networking instead of from an introverted, I need this guy's help, that that person has money, they could help me, they could fund my movie, they could put me in their movie, they could, for me. You need, I'm running out of place here, but you need mindfulness, humility, attention, and time. Okay, if you have these, mindfulness, humility, attention, and time, and you apply those. Mindfulness means you think about, this could also mean empathy. Like it could be being mindful of the other person's place, their skills, their needs, their desires, and all that stuff. Their person, outside of the industry, being attentive, then humility, stop talking about yourself, but just recognize yourself as a human being in an ecosystem of people helping each other, supporting each other, making money off each other, building each other up, protecting their assets, giving their assets. Like there's this exchange, this society that's going on, and being humble within that, and just trying to be a helpful person within that space that's just there to make the industry better as a whole. Paying attention to what's going on, to where the conversation's going, to whether or not it's even a relevant conversation to have, to all these things, like just paying attention, which kind of does tie into mindfulness, and time. Allowing long periods of cultivation to take place. Some people in this industry you see, maybe once a year at the same festival. So it's the same group of people that you just kind of check in with once a year at Berlin, or you see them at AFM, or you go to film festivals and stuff, and you start kind of like crossing paths, and you just tip the hat to the same people there. And maybe you touch base with them if they have a certain value to you and a potential, they could potentially contribute to your efforts, or you could contribute to theirs. Then there might be the occasional effort to reach out and actually talk to them about something substantial that you're trying to do. But it's kind of this professional approach of establishing, I'm going to get rid of all this sort of bottom underline kind of mantra, which I made another video about it, but just to reemphasize that it's not about who you know. That's what people think who have a quantitative mindset. Like, who do you know? Who else do you know? What else do you know? How many people do you know? Like, I have a million friends in this industry. It's actually about who is thinking about you when a relevant need comes up. This might not be the most eloquent way of saying this, but it's a subtle difference. It's not who do you know, it's who knows you, but not just who knows you, it's who's thinking about you when they need you. And there's a lot to unpack in this statement here, because that implies that for somebody to know when they need you, they have to have some context about, like, they have to have context, confidence, right? They have to have context and confidence in you to call you in. So let's say you got to understand exactly where you can contribute value. First of all, if you're an actor, as a character, the type that you can play the most, what you bring to the table in your performances, what kind of productions you probably fit the most in, and then you can sort of surround yourself with people who are relevant to that space. So let's say if you're just like a really good character actor who plays a lot of kind of Latino bad guys, like bad guys with a heart of gold, though. So you have that sort of little edge. So you're almost kind of like a heartthrobby, evil mobster, but still sort of with good morals. And you kind of find yourself playing similar characters to that quite a bit. Well, there's no sense in you networking with people who make a lot of Lifetime movies, or I mean, there might be, but I'm trying to illustrate a point here. It just makes more sense to maybe start networking with procedural drama people, agents, networks, cast, production crew, like whatever. Like if you run into people from that space, and again, none of this might necessarily be practical in the sense I'm trying to give you more of a way of thinking about things. I could do a lot better at, creating specific examples, but the idea here is that you need to surround yourself with people who can actually help you along your journey, which probably means you can somehow help them along their journey too, so that you become more of a solution to a problem when they have that problem, as opposed to somebody who's just constantly trying to get them to fit you into something that they're not even working on. So the problem is when you call up Kevin Hart and you're like, hey dude, I know you're super successful. I'm an actor. Can you help me? You're putting so much work on that person that they don't even know where to start, because you didn't come to them and say, hey, I know you're working with this production, and the casting director there, they also do a lot of the casting for this show, or they do the casting for this show, and I'm exactly that type. I would fit this program as a recurring guest star. Look at this and look at that, and here's how that would work. I mean, it's crazy. They're just, I could really contribute to this show. Is there any way you could introduce me to that casting director? So now you're calling on somebody for a very specific thing that then they can say, well, okay, what do I have to lose? I look at the quality of my relationship with you now, and I think about, how do I know you? Under what context? And do I have the context and the confidence to actually execute that favor for you? You're asking me for a favor. So why else would you network if it wasn't for the occasional ability to call a favor, to ask something that you couldn't normally ask? And so you have to look at networking kind of as like a battery, and you need to charge that battery. So let's say you have this container, and that's networking. And these are all the people you've networked with and you speak to. Well, let's say a good part of this is like cast and actors or whatever who you feel like maybe can help you get in touch with certain people, and you've asked them quite a few favors. So you're pulling equity out of your networking battery. You're extracting value from it and using it to charge up your career in some way or whatever. But it can't all be about that. You need to fill that back up. You need to have reason for these people to have the confidence and the context to actually help you. And for that, you need specificity. You need to be specific about what you want. And for that reason, you need to be specific about who you are and what your value is. So this is all very high level. I understand that. And in my Draces program, like, we definitely dial into this stuff and help people really understand what this means on a sort of, day-to-day basis for your acting career, for your filmmaking career, for your business, for your cash business that you build, producing as a service. All this stuff pays off, and it's one of the big reasons why I encourage actors and media artists, so directors, writers, actors, producers, everybody, to fully understand three things: their brand as a person, as an artist, as an actor. Who are you? Where do you fit? Like, what is your type? And don't worry about typecasting. It's better to be typecast than not, in my opinion, because that just means you have at least something. But there's ways to do typecasting that's not negative. So your type as an actor, your producing skills in terms of monetizing and funding your life. So producing as a service, as a business, which will allow you to create value to help businesses, institutions, other people, other filmmakers, with these sizzle reels, promos, this, that, packages. Like, understanding this, you can really add a lot of value for other people, and make a lot of money in the process. And then additionally, of course, understanding producing of scripted narrative content, documentary content, actual like products that you can roll out into festivals, film markets, and potentially even sell, and etc. So for you as a media artist, as an actor, as a director or whatever, having all these different skill sets allows you to network. This is just one of the bonuses. It allows you to do qualitative networking in a space that if you don't have those skill sets, you're just an actor asking for help. You're just always needing stuff. You can't really add any value into the pot because you don't really have much to give other than just like, I'm an actor. Now, you can do qualitative networking in other ways. You can offer, if you're an insurance broker or whatever, but it just always makes sense for people to understand you in the context of the production world, the film and entertainment industry, so that if you cross paths, think about a conversation after having a short film screen in a short film block at South by Southwest, for instance, or at another film festival, even a small one, and the conversation, the Q&A later on, you're down there talking about it, you win the Audience Choice Award, so you start getting asked all these questions, and you're the star and the producer of that project, and you can start talking to other producers and directors about just how the experience was of making that film and what went into it and all that stuff. So you have all this rapport, and then you can even make recommendations to them. Hey, I know this great DP, when you're ever working on something, you got to use this person. And then they'll think of you, they'll think of you more, and they'll think of you as somebody who has added value. But they'll remember you as an actor because you still started that thing. So they're like, you know what? Remember that producer who made that short film? That person would be perfect for this role right now. And then boom, you get yourself a lead on a feature or whatever. So let's recap real quick. Don't focus on running around trying to impress people with your skills, who you are, what you do. Don't go around screaming, I'm an actor, I'm an actor. It's important for them to know that you're an actor, but you can have a conversation about sports. You can have a conversation, again, with that empathy, that mindfulness, the attention, giving it time, cultivating relationships, allowing them to know that you act and the type of actor and the kind of things that you're good at allows you to do two things. Stay top of mind when they might need somebody like you, but also allowing you to be specific with them for any kind of favor that you might need from them. And having other skill sets that are complementary allow you to add value into your networking battery so that you can build equity and extract from it down the line. So be more mindful in your networking. Stop going around talking about the gala where you met Leo. It doesn't impress anybody and nobody cares that you know Kevin Hart. And it doesn't add any value to your own career. When you know who you are and what you're good at and what your auxiliary skill sets are, and also just a bunch of other stuff about yourself and where you fit, then you'll be able to offer that value and you'll be able to take value from others in return for that. And it just becomes a much more pleasant integration of you in an ecosystem that we're all living in, as opposed to somebody who's just wildly running around and they're trying to get something from everybody. And guess what? Qualitative networkers stick out. They're unpleasant. You can tell when conversations are empty and they're just always motive driven. Like, I understand when a PA is coming up to me and talking to me and all they want to do is pitch me their script. They don't want to learn from me. They don't want to contribute value. They don't want to offer their help with something. They don't want to do anything like that. They just want me to produce. Like, they don't even know if they don't even want me to produce their script. They just think, oh, here's a producer. I better talk about my script with that person because maybe then somehow magically it'll get made. Sorry, guys, not how it works. Get better at understanding the industry. Immerse yourself in the industry. Be the industry. Live the industry. If you're not, you're an outsider and you'll always stay there. Get with it if you're serious about this for your long-term career. If you want to be an actor, a producer, if you want to live in entertainment, live in the media industry full-time, you got to eat this stuff for breakfast. See you on the next one. Oh, and of course, if you're interested, click the Dracis link below and find out all about how you can get my help with building an amazing future, because we're just crushing it right now. Some of our students, man, doing some impressive stuff. Check out the video. It's worth it. All right. Have a good one. Hope this helped.